Okay, just a quick recap. So far what we've done is open a connection string to the database, or open a connection to the database. We've run a query on the database and used the data adapter to fill the data set with all the data from this particular table. And we've gone through and we've stored the row count and the column count. And remember, we started at 0. So though, if you count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because we start counting from 0 in computer science, it's actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 columns, or fields as they're called in database, and there's 12 records, which really, 12 rows, which can, counting from 0, there's actually 11. Okay, right, so today I want to show you, well, not today, in this particular video, whenever you're watching it, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's next week, you'll learn about looping through the columns. So basically, if you take a single row, it doesn't matter which row, I'm going to show you how to get the data from a row, going through and grabbing basically from each field and printing it into an object. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the columns. I'm going to create a for loop, and I'm going to say for call equals 0 to int column count. This will be the next call. And what I want to do is I want to set the text output text property equal to, now I'm going to go into the data set, into the first table. I'm going to go into the rows. Now I'm just going to grab the first row. So remember, first row starts with 0, starts at 0, and in there's this thing called an item array, and basically that's all the items in the row. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the call, the number call, okay, and I'll explain this shortly. All right. Now what should happen is there'll be, when this thing runs, it should end up with just Crusaders in the box. Alright, now why is this happening? We're supposed to be taking all the data from each one of these things. Well, what's happening here is currently the way it's set up is that it's setting the text property, so it takes the ID here, alright, it takes this, it shucks it into the output box, and then it takes Whitelock and it actually overwrites the 1, and then it takes Sam and it overwrites Whitelock, and then it takes the birth date and overwrites Sam, and so on and so forth until it gets to Crusaders overwriting the 15. And so that's why if you see this happening, you have to do a little something extra. And what you have to do is you have to actually say text output.text equals what is already in there, and you want to concatenate. Alright, so remember that little ampersand sign is the string concatenation operator, and all that does is it crushes two strings together. So this is going to take whatever's already in there and it's going to crush it in against the item that it's grabbing from the row. So let's just have a look at this now. Okay, now you'll notice that there's no spaces between the data. And why is that? Because all you're doing is you're taking whatever's in there and you're crushing the next bit in there. Okay, so what you can do is you can actually put in, I'm going to put in 2 blank spaces there and another ampersand, so that's actually going to crush together whatever's in here with whatever's with these 2 blank spaces and with whatever's in there. So now what's happening is, look, it's all there nice and neat, and that should hopefully match exactly what's in row 0. Okay, now just as an aside, if I want to take let's say I want to take Dan Carter, he is in row 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's in row 6. So if I actually change this row to 6, now when I run it, you should see there's Dan Carter. Look at that. Okay? So, what's going on? Well, let's slow it down. I'm going to put a breakpoint in here. I'm going to click play. Oh, hang on. Something's going wrong. Alright, so let's just try again here. All blacks. Okay, so I clicked the button, So it's come in here, it's already run this, I've opened a connection, run the query, and now I'm going through each column. So watch, currently the txt output text box has nothing in it. You can tell by how it says text equals and there's like those two double quotes. That's an empty string. Right, watch what happens now as I walk through it. Alright, I'm going to get back to the top, and what's in here now? 7. Oh, that's Dan, isn't it? Alright, and I'm going to do it again, and you'll see now it's 7 Dan Carter. Now the other thing I want you to notice is that call is actually going up as well. So every time, see, we're in column 1 now. So that's 0, 1, so sorry, that's the 0 column, 2 column. Sorry, oh man, can't count. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's see, where are we at now? So far it says it's 7 and Carter because call is 1. Right? As we go back up to the top, it becomes 2. So now you'll notice it's not actually saying anything yet because this next line of code hasn't been executed. It hasn't actually grabbed the next object from the database. And when I click next, notice it's Dan Carter. So as you can see, every time this loops, it adds on an extra piece of data from the database. So the next one should say Leaston, because that's the next one there, right? Go past it, and oh look, there's Leaston. Alright, so hopefully you can see how this is looping through. Every time it goes through this loop, call is incremented, so it actually grabs the next one along. So basically, every time this is looping, right, it increments and grabs whatever data is from the next column from this specific row. Okay, so right, next lesson you'll learn about repeating through the rows, but what you've learned here is how to loop through the columns and grab the data from the data set on each column for a specific row. And remember, you can change the row by changing that value there. Okay? Alright, see if you can put a loop in your bands project and make that happen. And I do apologize for the long video.